What are your goals for this year?
I would really like to get moved out on our own and maybe into a house and if I can get a even better job than the one I got right now, even though I like it.
What do you like best about yourself?
Um, there's a couple things that I like about myself. I like that I was able to end up with my wife. I think I'm pretty good when I'm cooking. I think I know a good bit there. People say that I'm good at that. And also, I'd like to think that I'm pretty smart sometimes, able to figure things out pretty well.
What's something people won't know about you just by looking at you?
I don't think you'd be able to tell it by just looking at anyone, but it's a relaxing and pretty popular hobby. I really like fish tanks, but there's a lot of people that look different, and it's really not something you can tell by looking at somebody. But we have, I think, 12 fish and a snail now.
Tell me a story that had about someone that has made a significant impact on your life.
I would say you, my wife. Because when we met in school, I'd never really paid you much attention, didn't really think that much. And, we've talked about this before. But then in like 10th, ninth or 10th grade, we started to talk more. And I realized, there was a lot to you. And I really thought you were cool and wanted to be your friend. Ended up together, learned even more about you, and realized you're a really smart person.
Tell me a place that is very important to you, like paint me a picture, and why is it important to you?
Um, I would say the band room at Soul Legend High School because so many fun things happen there, and it's where I spent a lot of time with most of my friends through high school. It's where I learned how to play a trumpet. It's where I made a lot of friends, and I just loved spending time in there with the people that I'd hang out with and just playing music with them. There were the back of the room was where all the instrument lockers were. It looked like little cages. There were big ones for tubas, and sometimes I'd climb in there and just hide to see when somebody would notice. Then over on the other side, there was the band director's office, and in the middle of the room, there was a half moon of like two rows of chairs, and then in the middle is where the director sat, and he'd instruct us.
What's the hardest thing you've ever had to do?
It would be having to deal with when your dad moved you to Minnesota, and I had to wait 10 months to be able to buy a bus ticket to bring you back home. Because my parents gave me some money out of their tax return just so I'd be able to buy you a ticket.
What are your proudest moments in your life?
It goes back to you again. It'd be whenever you convinced me to ask you out because I was wanting to wait to make sure you were sure about it. You're like, no, it's fine, go ahead. And then, okay, I did. And not long after that, was when we found out you had to move, and it's only been like 3 months. But I was still pretty sure about it, so I went ahead and asked you to marry me, even though it was quick. And you said yes, and then again, 10 months later, we got you back down here. Then later that same year, we got married, and we've been married ever since. And that was the best day. And it's been almost 4 years now.
Who had the biggest influence on your life and how?
There are a lot of people. I've already said how you were. Um, There's one person I met recently who, because for a while, I'd think, people say don't judge a book by its cover, but you could kind of see a little bit of the way somebody behaves and, tell what they were like from that. But I met somebody at work whose name was also Austin, like mine is. And he kind of seemed to just be a little dim-witted because the way he'd behave, it just seemed like he was trying to show off for people. But then I'd actually get into conversations with him, and he's a really smart person, and it just made me feel so bad for assuming he was like that.
What's the happiest moment of your life and the saddest?
I already answered the happiest moment. It actually, I think our wedding would be second happiest. Because the happiest would have been meeting you at the bus station when you came back. Because I knew then that you were already going to be there with me. And I knew we were going to get married. And the saddest would be when one of our family's friends died in a car wreck. He was only 23 and I couldn't even stay at the funeral. I saw him in the casket and I couldn't stay. I had to go home.
How has your life been different from what you imagined?
I imagined I would be moved out of this tiny town by now. And we did for a little bit, and now we're back.
Who are your best friends? What are they like?
My best friends are named Nathan, Kyle, and Ethan. Nathan and Kyle, like me, like to play trading card games like Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh! They're very weird, strange people. I don't know what else to say about them. Like, there's no good way to I mean, there are good ways to describe them, but it's just kind of hard to paint a picture of them. Nathan's really competitive, and he'll get really upset if he loses, or if he loses in a game where he just didn't do well either. Where Kyle, he will compete with you, but he's not gonna get too upset about it. He'll be smiling the whole time, and then they'll both help you afterwards if something was wrong with what you were doing and make you better. And Ethan, mainly play video games on a computer with him. We were playing a Star Wars game recently.
What are there any words of wisdom you like to pass along to us?
I would say, going back to about that other Austin, no matter how many times you've seen it work out for yourself, you still cannot judge a book by its cover, even if you've read the little story on the back. I would also say that just because someone is older or done different things than you does not mean yours or their experiences mean they know more about certain things than you, or that you would know more than them. So you should always pay attention when someone's trying to teach you something, because even if it's right or wrong, you've still got a way. You can check yourself now because we've got the internet, but if you can learn something from someone, you should try to.
Are there any questions? Do you have any questions?
What was the happiest moment of your life?
Marrying you.
I like that answer.